couple of days ago, I posted my cover of Bijou. This is a song that has been haunting me most of my life since it came out. It's a very rare sort of Brian May instrumental, or rare for his Queen days. And in that particular piece, it's kind of like the guitar solo has taken over where the vocal would go, and the vocal is doing what the guitar solo would do as a little motif in the middle. Now, I did a wonderful sort of podcast with the guys in Recovering Queen where we talked about this song at length, and we did a cover of it as well. I'll put the link to that in the comments, because a lot of people treat it as a throwaway track. Guitarists don't, because obviously it's full of glorious licks and lots of fun there. But if you actually listen to it and then you try and play it and try and transcribe it, you find that it's played kind of free time. And then when you look at the amazing chord structure that's underneath it, it could only really have come from Freddie. And it sounds like something that came off the back of Barcelona, which was only 2 years beforehand. So that complexity, the fact that it's free time, I think that Freddie and Brian recorded that together in the studio, live in parts. And in a way, when you consider that this is recorded when Freddie was very sick and was saying his goodbyes to his bandmates, it's an extra poignant song as a result. Now, today, because YouTube, well, not YouTube, I suppose, the publishers of music will take any possibility of me getting any recompense from this lesson, I'll refer you just to my cover if you want to see the whole thing played, because I'm only going to do this lick by lick. So, as usual, please subscribe to the channel, hit the alerts and all that type of fun stuff, and look backwards and you'll see that particular video. I think it's the last one I posted, or second last one. Let's have a look at this song and see what's involved from a playing point of view. I'll talk about the sound first. This is a DaVinci amp. Now, I'll do a video about this amp again, but the long and short of it is you've heard it all over Queen's hits. It's on Bohemian Rhapsody, it's in all of those orchestra choirs, and it's actually out on its own on a couple of songs as well, particularly this one. There's a lot of mythology about this thing. It appears that John found an old radio and a hi-fi speaker in a skip, and being an electronics wizard, was able to weld them together into a guitar amp that Brian subsequently put his treble booster into and found sounded quite a thing. Now, I've got this because I'm trying to profile it into Tonex so everybody watching this and beyond can actually be able to enjoy the sound of it, because it's a very tricky thing to get your hands on. But Tonex is proven just indispensable in capturing the tone. So what you'll hear today and in my cover is actually a Tonex capture of this very amp. And if you're one of my neighbours, apologies for enduring that process recently. So we'll have a little look at the sound another day when we talk about the amp. And what I'll say is that if you have a DaVinci amp, if you have a Digitech pedal, or even if you just have an amp that's kind of full range and has a nice high end, that'll kind of get you through this today. The DaVinci amp in Amplitude 5 is pretty good as well. It has one little kink in it though, which is that it doesn't quite sustain like the real one, and the Tonex capture, when I get to sharing it, will actually do that job better. Now, in addition to that, and unusually for a guitar track in Queen, there is quite a lot of reverb on it, and what that is doing is, you know, everything is going into the same reverb bus. So in other words, there's one reverb effect, and the vocals and the synthesizers and the drums and the guitar are all pushed into that, so they sound like they're in the same big space. So a little bit of reverb will help as well. In terms of the delay, it's stereo left, right, maybe 2 repeats each side, 1.5 if you like. There's a little bit more decay than Brian would usually use on the delay to my ear. I would set the delay at about 500 milliseconds. I tried recording this with the delay tempo synced, and it doesn't really work. The delay is just, it's doing its own thing throughout the piece, much like most of the music in it, because it doesn't really have a steady enough tempo for it to work. So 500 milliseconds to 600 milliseconds will get you there. The delay signal is about 1/3 of the volume of the guitar, so set it at about 33%, I think, and then that should do it. Again, there will be a Tonex and Amplitude preset for this coming out soon, so again, make sure you're subscribed, because if you subscribe, it means that I can become an influencer and live my life taking pouting selfies on a beach somewhere. Okay, let's have a look at the song. So, free time. So what does that mean? When they recorded this, a keyboard chord was played and Brian responded to it. And it's that sort of call and response that sets the tempo of this song, if you pardon the pun. The key is D minor, F major. The singing bit in the middle is actually in C major, so it modulates up a fourth, which is something that gives the song a real lift. So when Freddie does arrive into the song, by bringing it up that high and by that leap, it just really sounds like, you know, angels descending from heaven or some such thing. Angels, cherubs, cherubim. In any case, let's have a look at it. So the first chord is D minor. Now, I'll show you the lick. Okay, sorry, I forgot to mention, this isn't played entirely fingerstyle. And if you watch Brian when he plays fingerstyle, he tends to do this thing where, whoops, he tends to play with just his forefinger, either over the 24th fret or over the pickup. Now, you don't have to go too detailed here. I actually think that's kind of a bad technique because you have a whole suite of fingers in this hand that can be used, and you will need them to be able to pull this off. So in terms of the fingerstyle, I use my thumb to mute the strings. With a sound as high gain as this, there's a lot of sympathetic strings going to ring out, and with the delay, every mistake is in triplicate, so you have to be very careful to watch those sort of errant ringing strings throughout this lesson. I won't be so careful, so apologies in advance. But using your thumb as it creeps down the string every time that you're moving to a new string, it's a natural way to be able to keep a mute on it. And of course, if you can keep your palm resting on the low strings, you won't be playing the E or A string once in this piece. So it's okay to keep your palm there as well, just to stop those from ringing out. I would suggest using the first and second finger, the forefinger and middle finger, just to do the picking, because that'll give you options to play some of the other parts. And there's a lot of tapping in this. And because there's tapping in this, it's good to keep, you know, the forefinger ready because or the second finger ready because the forefinger will be engaged in that. So let's have a look at the first lick, which is actually a tapping lick. So I started in the wrong place. I am sorry. Anyway, let's have a look at it. Okay, so this is in 5 times, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how you count it. Now it's quite fast. So if you do want to count it, just 5, 4 is the measure. Now what's happening? So this is a D minor lick. So we're going to be sort of articulating the 15th, 17th and 18th fret, that's D, E and F on the B string, and G, A and B flat on the E string. And the way he articulates it is he's going to be tapping the high A on the B string when he's working those notes, and the high D on the E string, or the 22nd fret in both cases. So I'll take you through it slowly because this is tricky. So I'm just going to do it low volume first so you can hear all the notes. So you can see tap, pull off to 15, tap to 17, tap to 18. Now here's a weird one. You kind of pick the 15th fret by side tapping, or even tapping the 22nd fret on the E string. So again, same thing, 15, 17, 18 with a tap in between. So, and then backwards. Now it comes out quite fast, so you should really practice it with a metronome and try and build up the speed. So again, 22 to 15 to 17, 18, 22 to 15, 17, 18, 20, 17, and then backwards here. And we do this. Oh, excuse me. And then it finishes on that high A, or the 17th fret of the E. So I'll just do a bit more high gain so you can hear it again. And some judicious vibrato on that because you're going to hang on to it for a while. And then back down, because the trails of delay set up the next lick. So this is a motif that we come back to, this sort of bip, 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 bip sort of tapping lick. So again, the advice is set up a metronome, try it slow, get it clear, get it clean so each note can be heard, and then gradually bring the speed up in the metronome until you can get it out. So it'll be like... And then the actual speed. And one other thing I'll say is that when I drop down to the E string, any spare finger is an opportunity to mute a string because any errant strings will make this sound so messy. So what I'm actually doing with my first finger is when I fret that note, I push against the B string so that it doesn't take off on its own. So that's a nice handy way just to get that bit out. Let's get on with the song. So first chord is D minor. And what Brian does, as he very often does, is he's going to trace the notes of a D minor. Now, I talked about this before when I did the Too Much Love Will Kill You lesson. Where you play on the guitar, particularly with a red special, has a huge influence on the sound. So there are decisions that you can make where you can query some of the places where I played this. So in other words, this lick is going to play a D minor arpeggio. So what does that mean? It means all the notes of a D minor chord. So there's a D minor chord here, and there's another one here if you like, and then there's another one up here. So how he actually plays it to my ear is he uses the G and the B string to get it out. So he's going to go. So what's that? These are just the notes spread across the strings. So that's 14 on the G, 15 on the B. And those are from, if you like, your good old-fashioned D-shaped D minor. That's 17 on the B. 18. So E, F, if you like. So F is the chord tone, E is just a passing note. And then he does this glorious bend, which is, excuse me, it's just icy notes, you see. I don't like calling out the frets, but it's the 20th fret on the B string bent to up to sound like the 22nd, or if you like, it's a G to an A. And A is in the D minor chord. So he's traced out the notes of the chord. So as you can hear there, up twice with it, so. Now, don't be afraid if the note dies, because I know we'll with some of those with some of the simulators of the D-key amp. If the note does die, give it a hit again just to give it some extra sustain. This is not a recital. This is rock and roll. So in other words, if it's because you want it to be clear, because the vibrato at the end is what makes the piece work. So just a quick note about vibrato. I have a video way back about bending strings like Brian May and doing vibrato. It's called Bending Them Like Brian, but really and truthfully it's bending them in general. And the source for doing sort of vibrato and bending is always a pivot of your wrist. So just to remind you, if you haven't seen that lesson, give the guitar a handshake, reach in, and you create a vertex that you close with your wrist. Your wrist has the strength to do this. Your fingers probably won't ever have that sort of nice round sound or strength. So that's the vibrato. So now, so we're going to bend the 18th fret, or the G, on the B string. Repick it when it's down. And that's 16 on the B and 17, or excuse me, 16 on the B and 15 on the G. And then we're going to try bend this lovely C note on the G string, which is 17, up a tone, up to D. And strike it when you come back down, just to give it an extra lift. Okay, now, just turn this down for a second. There's a lovely F major scale that lives around there. So I don't know if you're familiar with your major scales. F major, just in this position, is the one to learn to get these bits out. F major and D minor are the same scale, same notes anyway. So what he does is a little run up the scale. So that's going to be starting on the F note, which is the 18th fret of the B, 20, 17, 18, 20, and lovely vibrato. And then backwards from this 17th fret on the E, we're going to go, or excuse me, sorry. Cut, enter. So that's cut. So up the scale, vibrato. So that's, now check this bit out. He kind of mimics the delay. Okay, this is probably one of the hardest parts in this. So when you come back down, we're going to do a little hammer-on motif. And it's just going to go E, F, G, or if you like, 17, 18, 20. And what he's doing is hitting them ever so softly to let them just fall off. And that gives a lovely effect. So that whole bit in that whole section in total. That whole section in total. And there's a nice little pause while that's going on, and then we're going to do another D minor arpeggio, and this time we're just going to go for this sort of shape here, which is the A minor shape, D minor if you like, because it looks like A minor, except barred up here. And it's going to go, oh, excuse me, it's going to go. So that's 19 on the D, 19 on the G, and then 17, 18, 20 or E, F, G, and then bend up a tone. Repick it, let down and pull off. And then 4-finger on the E note, the 17th fret of the B. And what that is you're going to just, with my wrist, bend it up a semitone. So you're going from E to F in repetition. And then the next bit, it's another arpeggio, an A minor arpeggio. So we're going to go, and it's shaped like a D minor chord if you're wondering where it's coming from. And it's going to be 3rd finger down for this one. The 19th fret of the G. Baby finger to catch the 20th of the B. And then just these 3 in a row. And that is 17, 18, 20. And then bend it up a tone. Excuse me. Okay. And then we're going to bend the 22nd fret to sound like an E. So, and you re-pick it when it's up, so let it down and re-strike it. So there's a lot going on there, so let's review that section. And then we had the bend here. And then the bend here. And then we had the scale, the major scale up. And then the hammer-ons. Then we have a D minor arpeggio. Bend. Down, pull off. And then semitone bend. And then the A minor arpeggio. Bend. And then we're going to just bend this D to E and re-pick it. Let it down and re-pick it. So that's just the first section, but if you get that down, you'll feel like €1,000,000 because it is just a wonderful feeling to be able to play this thing, you know. Okay, let's move on to the next section. So we're back to the tapping motif, so I'll just play through it. Okay, so it's a similar idea to the intro. So we're going to start with this 10th fret, which introduces a lot of our notes, except we usually play it here, but we're going to slide from 10 to 15, and then we're going to do tap, pull off, tap, pull off, and bend. So I can't do this bit slowly because I need the string energy to do this next bit, but just to show you that bit again. So play, slide to 15, tap, pull off, tap, pull off, tap, pull off, tap, pull off, and bend. Now when you bend up a tone, and watch this, you bend up a further semitone, and then back down the semitone, and then back down the tone. So bend, excuse me. So you're like playing 3 notes at the bend. Which is very hard. Now, sometimes Brian will do something like that with the arm because there is a little bit of pull on the original Red Special arm. I don't think he did that this time because I think you can just do that by doing a bend. Now, hard, but we're practicing. So if you want to practice that, we're starting on this note here, which is the 20th fret of the B string, or A, as I like to call it. So you could try play the notes separately and try and recreate that with the bend. So the notes separately would be like 20, 22, 23. And repick the notes if they start to die off, just so you can hear each of those in total. Now, another tricky part. You know, if you can get through this section, this is the hard. Well, yeah, this is the hardest part. Okay, so as soon as you do that, so this is the hardest lick in the whole piece. Okay, so we've done our. So now we're going to back to this position here, and we're going to bend 18 on the B, the G, but we're going to keep picking it. So we're going to give it a good, like, sort of articulate, so, and a bit of a shake afterwards. Let it down, pull off to 16. Now watch the tapping here. So we're going to be tapping the 20th fret like we've done at the intro. Tap. So we're bringing it up the scale. So, no, excuse me. And then we go down the string. So. So on the E string then, tapping 22, 15, 17, 18, 20. Okay, so very hard to explain this as it is to play it. So bending. So when we get to this note, so a way of looking at this is that basically we're playing that scale with tapped notes in between each of the notes. And then this last one, we're going to bend a semitone. So how he sort of works that bend, he really does a Gary Moore on it and really frisks the life out of it. So down, pull off. So bend, down, pull off. And then finally, a nice high E. Now, the E is the 24th fret on the Red Special. Now, if you've got a 22 fret guitar, or even if you want to do this in the Red Special, because you can get a nicer articulation of the note, pre-bends the 22nd fret so it sounds like the 24th fret. Let's look at all of that in total. So and a lovely slide back. Very difficult. If you're stuck with this, drop me a message in the comments. I might try and explain it another way with a short or something like that, because it is very hard. But at this point, Freddie comes into the piece. Now, I actually just played Freddie's parts on the cover I posted on YouTube, but one of the lads in Recovering Queen actually sang it on our cover in the podcast and did an amazing job, so it's worth listening to that. But if you're not able to sing it, you could play it. So I'll just show you that melody real quickly. I'm not going to focus on this because this is about the guitar parts, but I literally just transposed it onto the guitar. So I did that part in that register. So it's the E, bent up, let down, and pull off. And then slide in from the C here, the 13th fret and the B. And then what I did is I just brought it down a register. And this is the beauty of the D key amp sound, because like you can see, I only had to pick the string once and I was able to carry the melody, which makes it sound a lot more vocal if you can do that. So that's quick slide or grace note slide. A grace note slide is where you don't really hear the first note, you just hear the arrival in the next note. So I'm going from the D note or the 3rd fret of the B string into the 5th fret. Hammer on, slide, and then slide back. And then this is 6, 5, 3, and then slide up to 8. And then the next part of the melody. So that's the 1st fret on the B string, the C note. And a grace note slide into the 6th fret to the E. And for the True Lovers bit. So that's C, 1st fret B, open fret on the G, 2nd fret on the G, 5th fret on the G, and then for the Forever, I'm using a lot of open strings here now, you'll see why in a minute. So 5 to 7 and then pull off to the open string, so Forever. And then I drop the arm. And when I have the arm dropped, I go back into the high register for the yeah, if you like, in the lyric, which is the B flat or the 11th fret on the B string. And then for the final bit, Forever, I do a tone up bend on the 13th fret of the B, pre-bend it, let it down to 13, and then pull off to 9. And then for my Bijou, I'll just play some Fs. Because there's no pitch on it, he just speaks that bit. So that's a way of covering the vocal. Alternatively, you could just learn how to sing like Freddie Mercury, which is obviously not very easy. Okay, let's carry on. So just to remind you, from your D shape, up the scale, bend, down and repick. The next lick starts kind of like the last one, but there's a little trick. It's another one of those bending up a tone, up a further semitone, back down to semitone, then back down to the original fretted note. Now, it sounds like he's playing it on the G string, but your instrument might respond better if you play it on the B string. So, oh, hair getting caught in the guitar, classic. Perfectly legitimate to play it there. He might have played it there, you know. So when you're playing in front of the speaker and you're trying to get sustain, it's worth trying different positions of the same note just to see if you can get the, you know, requisite sort of interaction between the pickup and the speaker to be able to get that bend to last as long, to be able to do that. Okay, the next lick is awful. By that I mean it's perfectly beautiful. It's just... So this is a bit tricky. The way to come at this is to learn the scale across a single string. So in other words, learn that off. So I mean, like, it's 8, 10, 12, 13, 15, 17, 16, 18. Now, the good news is by learning that off, it also means that this is now in your vocabulary and you haven't just, you know, parroted a solo, you've taken some knowledge with you. So it's definitely worth doing that. So what he's going to do, first finger is on the 8th fret, and we're going to be tapping the 20th fret. Oh, sorry, I'm going to do this fast first, and then I'm going to slow it down. So, to 8, 10, 12, 13, and then we repeat that. And then we're going to go tap 13, 15, 17, and then repeat that. And then tap and then pull off to 18, and then we're going to bend 20. And it's a majestic bend. You got to vibrato the hell out of that. So again, tap 8, tap 10, tap 12, tap 13, tap 10, tap 12, 13, tap 12, tap 15, 17, and again, and then 18, and then bend. And like all of those tap sections, do it slow. Sorry, it's very hard to slow it down when you know it, but you know, do it slowly and gradually build up the speed, because you need to be able to go at. Now, from the bend. So that's just going back through the scale a little. And then we bend the last one here, the 19th fret up a tone. So we're actually... Okay, so next bit is also a little bit tricky. Now there's a couple of different ways of playing this. I have the original score book, and that's how it says we play it, which is tap 10, pull off 8, pull up 5, and then bend 8. It's possible it's that. I'm always a little bit skeptical of transcriptions that have a lot of work done on the high E string, because the high E string on the real red special, I believe, is very difficult to play on. So you often see Brian will play really high up the neck on the B string before he'll play, in a sensible place, on the neck on the E string, which I think is down to that, because you can get more sustain out of the notes. I'm also not so sure if it's tapped, so I'll show you two different ways of coming at this. The canonical way is that, but you could also go, which is just in your pentatonic box shape. Now, 9 times out of 10, I'll play it here because it just feels more like what he would have done. But you can do it here. And if you do it here, such a typical Brian lick. I'll make a backing track for this and I'll stick it up available somewhere, but I'm still debating how to do it. I'll probably put a click or a very quiet click on one of them, just so you can do this, because this bit is kind of tricky. So I'll show you that slower. So tap, pull off, bend. Now, if you do it the way I think it is, that'll be down here. And again, slower. So what is that? These are two positions of D minor that you need to get into your vocabulary. Now, you probably know this one. If you don't, learn it, because it's obviously very useful for this section. And there's another one here. Anyway, that's that section. Now, here's the challenge, and this is why I suddenly thought of the click track and the backing track, is that as soon as you comfortably pull that off, you have to go into a very carefully timed piece in the whole song. And that's where the keyboards, which are doing a lovely big string sound, and they have dubbed on top of it some synth basses, double basses now, not the regular electric guitar ones. And they all happen at the same time. And as soon as you play that lick, you literally have 2 beats to get from wherever you've done it, the bend here, and play this. And it's just very simple. And that's just another scale ascend, if you like, with a big bend at the end. And now we have one of those horrible bends, and this is the end of the hard bit of this particular section. And we're going to bend the 22nd fret, so it sounds like the 24th. And then we're going to shove it up a little bit higher, so it sounds like a 25th fret that doesn't exist. And then we're going to let it back down. So bend, up a tone, repick, up a semitone, and then back down to bass again. I'm going to do the whole lot of that section, because if you can get a bit of push and pathos into your timing on that, it'll sound quite dramatic. So it's like, I'll do it my way, we'll do. Well, that's wrong, excuse me. Sounds like a concert violinist, a soloist. It's such a wonderful sound. Really worth just trying to get comfortable with it so you can dig into those notes like that with your finger. And you can see that I'm using this one a lot because there's just a lot more strength in it, I think, and a lot more reach, but, you know, suit yourself. Here's how this epic piece ends, and I think, how far are we into it? Oh God, 40-minute YouTube video. Okay, so starts off like the previous 2 times. Except we've already done that, so we shouldn't be afraid of it. But this bit is so tricky to time. And it does feel like it's that long. So we're going to just start off with that bend, let it run, and pause, and then grab the octave. So if you didn't know, like we did the previous 2 times, and the octave is here. It's another B flat. Now, the last lick. It's a little arpeggio. So even though the piece has been in F major the whole way through, it just borrows this ridiculous, excuse me, F major arpeggio. So there's a little modulation there. Excuse me, hang on there. Ooh. So. So 14, 14, 19, 21, and then a lovely E note to finish, which you can just grab on the 24th fret if you like. Now it doesn't ring for very long, but you can do that or you can pre-bend into it. And that is Bijou. Okay, so this is the longest YouTube video I've ever made. I hope this is useful. I hope I haven't fluffed over too many pieces. I think the key to doing this is just to relax and just treat each lick as its own little project, and maybe take a couple of weeks to go into this. Maybe do a practice on one lick, then do the next lick, the next practice afterwards. Always going over the two that you did previously, because even though I've gone through them as forensically as I possibly can, there's actually so much detail in this that when you listen to it and you play it, you'll discover something in each of them for a long time afterwards. So my history on this is I've been listening to this song since I was very, very young. And I only tried to learn it maybe a year ago. I always knew the tapping section. And then what happened was a couple of friends, and we were going to the Red Special meetup, which is, you know, all about the guitar. Lots of sad middle-aged men and some unfortunate young people that we recruited along the way, talking about transistors and springs, but it's really good fun. But we decided we'd perform that song at it, and then I really had to learn it. And then when I got there, I was thinking I might set up my digital rig, but it just looked like too much effort, and there was the full 3-amp Vox AC30 thing, really loud, and I went through that and it was marvellous, very scary, but I had positioned myself right beside our keyboard player Craig Ogden, and we basically nodded and winked our way through the changes. That was scary. And then I had to record it again for the Recovering Queen podcast, and every single time I learn it or play it, I find out another little bit that I might have missed, or something that's done a little bit different, or something open to discussion. Amongst Queen fans, this song doesn't have quite the rep that it deserves, and I hope now that you've learned it and that you're beginning your journey of learning it, because you sure as hell didn't learn it from just this lesson. It'll take, as I say, a long time to get into it, that there's a lot in it. And think about how it was recorded, think about what went into it emotionally, and you'll see that there's really a lot of power in this piece of music, you know. So enjoy, and if you like this, subscribe, blah, 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 and all that, and help me on my career path to becoming a pouting influencer. Stay safe, kids. Stay safe, kids. Lame. I'll come up with a better sign off later. Good night.